So while I was driving today, I had the thought that came to mind. So I'm going to pose it with a question. If someone is sick, do you as a Christian assume it's God's punishment for their sin? So why would you think that? Is it pride? Now, what is the reason, if you possibly thought that you thought that? Where is it coming from? If you thought that, is it coming from a place of pride that you think that you're so holy that people need to live to your example? Do you think, well, things are going so good for me, I got God's approval, God's blessings are coming in, but here, this person here is struggling, they're dealing with a sickness, they're dealing with a disease, so they must have done something wrong. So has that ever popped in your head while you were doing something, or maybe it came into your head while you saw somebody that was dealing with a sickness or a disease? When Job was afflicted, it was not God's punishment, but he was proving to Satan that he was righteous. And, God said to Satan, he said, consider my servant Job, and God was showing Satan that this was a good man, that he wasn't going to turn his back on God, which he didn't. The only thing that Job did was question why he was going through it. And so God had a reason exactly for what he was going through. And you can read that at the conclusion. So God's ways are more perfect. His plans are perfect for us. Now, if you have thought someone was sick because of their sin, are you then operating out of true love? Or are you operating out of pride? With Job's friends, rather than comfort Job, they were miserable comforters. If anything, they should have tried making him more comfortable. They should have did what they could as his supposed friends to make him comfortable, because you hear he was covered with boils. He was scratching them, and can you imagine the pain that he went through? Did they give him any kind of ointment to put on his boils to try to lessen the pain? Or did they look at him at a place of pride and say, he's really going through it. I wonder what kind of sin he did. So you see it eventually in the conversations about, well, maybe you did this. Well, if you do this for God, he will do this for you. And so they were taking this place of telling him what he needed to do, rather than being a true friend to him. When we're going through a hard circumstance, we don't need somebody coming up to us telling us what we did wrong. We need somebody to be there for us, to encourage us and to comfort us. That's what Job wanted. They should have tried serving him. Job, is there anything that I can get you? We don't see any of that record in that account. None of them prayed for him at all. But in the conclusion of the book of Job, Job prayed for them. And that's what God wanted him to do. And so God was more or less saying, Job, you have my approval. Pray for your supposed friends. And lastly, what they should have done was encourage him. Let him know that, God is there for him, that God loves him, that they love him, rather than pointing out his faults. So, in an application for us, what can you do for someone who is sick? For someone who is really going through a hard trial or testing time? What can you do to be a blessing to them, rather than somebody that would point out their faults and their struggles? So, I just wanted to share this with you. I pray that, this, gets you thinking, if maybe you've had those thoughts yourself, and what you can do to help somebody that is really going through trials. So I'm going to end it here. Thanks for taking the time to watch.